Lynn, and maybe. I know when you're ready, Mario. Start the recording. All right, we're good to go. Okay. Welcome to the investing group. Just a disclaimer. Nothing here that we discuss is financial advice. Please invest or trade at your own risk, and we are not liable for anything that goes bad. Maybe things that go good, but all right. Let's start by going around the room and introducing ourselves and talking a little bit about ourselves. So Mario.
Yeah, I'm Mario Sanchez. I'm an architect by trade. I'm just here to learn as much about investing as possible. And we do audio visual record, so speak up when you're talking. Go ahead.
My name is Victor, one of the co-founders of the group here with Eric and John. Worked in finance for about a decade now, and just here to hear people's ideas, see how we can add some value to one another, and hopefully make some money during this generational moment with AI.
Same here. My name is Diana. For those that don't know me, I'm a paralegal at an immigration law firm. I recently graduated from UIC, and I'm just interested into this whole AI civilization as well.
Back to Jim.
I'm sitting over here not because I'm antisocial, but I'm gonna duck out early and I didn't want to interrupt anybody. So my name is James. My wife is an architect. I'm a structural engineer. We each have our own design businesses. We also invest in real estate. I've also been a member of the board of trade for about 8 years and have a full seat there, traded interest rates and agriculture spread futures. So looking to learn more about the club, I've heard, or the group, I've heard a lot, and it seems like you guys do an amazing job. So.
Hello, nice to meet everyone. My name is Miguel Salgado. I'm a rising senior at the University of Illinois, Chicago. I'm here today because, I just want to surround myself with people who have more knowledge in investments than what I have currently. I always feel like I'm always trying to share it with other people, but I don't have that experience to learn from others. So I feel like this spot is just right for me.
Great. Hello everyone, I'm Moses. I also recently graduated from UIC. I was a finance student, here to just learn from everybody. There's a lot of great discussions that happen here, so I'm glad to be part of it.
I'm John Donners. I'm a club member, a government consultant, and a pretty active UIC alumni, and just here to experience the group and learn from all the great minds in this room.
Hi everyone, my name is Abi. I'm a former PMT alum at UIC. I work for US Bank right now. I've been there for the last couple of years. I'm here to just meet everyone and then learn more about the market, invest more, make some money, as Victor said.
Awesome. Hey everyone, I'm Jordan. I currently work in data analytics at Ariel Investments, and I like these discussions that we have. And I like when people bring hot takes. So I'm always open for those.
Hi everyone, I'm Connor. I'm at William Blair. I work in product management, and I also like learning new ideas, and yeah, the more you know, the better. So it's a great place to be.
Hi guys, my name is Deep. I'm also a recent UIC graduate from Masters in Finance, and I'm here for more finance discussion. I was part of PMT for almost all my college, so here to just continue that tradition.
Hi everybody, I'm Michelle, and I heard a lot about this group. Very interested to hear more, and I follow investments pretty closely already, and learning about tech is like my indulgence. So that's part of the reason I'm here.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Tandock. I'm a member here at the Union League Club. Previously, I was a controller and chief financial officer, so I have some insights to certain things relative to finances. I also have a self-defense academy. Actually, my flyer is what some of you have been looking at. I'm hosting that event here at the Union League Club. I'm also looking to learn about AI and the technology that's available in the marketplace.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed. A lot familiar faces in Victor City. I'm a current small business founder myself and an incoming law student at the University of Illinois. I've been involved with the stock market for a few years but I've never been this much educated as this group has provided me with. So it's always fun to see the discourse and just be more informed. I'm fascinated with the AI revolution that we have. So curious to hear all the opinions. Thank you for being here.
Hey everyone, my name is Quinn. I'm also a recent graduate of finance from the University of Illinois Chicago. I was very involved in the portfolio management team, UIC's Student Asset Management Club. Great organization. We have a lot of people in this group that were also involved. But I love the stock market. I love day trading. I love trading. I love investing. And I absolutely love staying on the cutting edge with all of you and these great discussions that we have every other Monday.
Let's get the two that just showed up.
First. Hello everyone, my name is Suryansh. I'm in UIC as a finance major, rising junior, and I'm just happy to learn and hear everyone's views about the trends in technology or overall, whatever's affecting the market. So Brian?
This guy got a lot of potential. He has a lot of internships going on. He got JP Morgan lined up pretty soon. Well, my name is Brian Jung. I work at JP Morgan Chase. I graduated in December from UIC. I used to be, that guy used to be the president. I used to be the vice president. After this, sector, but I love investing. I've been investing for the last 6 years. So I'm very excited to go out there and continue to discuss. And I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts. I don't want to talk to myself every time because I feel like I talk a lot, but I want to hear everyone's thoughts about AI, also investing a lot of companies and industries. Thank you.
All right. My name's Eric Simpson. And with Victor and also John, who's not here, we started this investing group. It's got elements of UIC's portfolio management team, their group, but we try to keep an open discussion format and just dive into what's going on and see if we can find edges. All right, should we get going? All right, so I'd like to start off with some small cap crazy trading action, all the fun stuff. Today, some of us traded this ZYBT Zengi Biotechnology. It's some Chinese small cap scummy stock. Who knows if they actually do anything relevant? Doesn't really matter. What's crazy is that they were essentially like a penny stock. 61 cents as of pre-market today, and they ended up running up to I think 8 by the close, and then it hits after hours. So this thing was halting constantly, halting every 5-10 minutes because of there's a volatility halt rule with the NASDAQ exchange. And this thing was just manipulating the halt bands the whole time and kind of just messing around, going up. I think I was in it from somewhere in the 2s to like 3s, and I think Quinn was in it from there to like, what did you get up, 5, 6?
Yeah, I was 1.8 to 5.2.
Nice, yeah. And rode through all these like crazy halts. I mean, so it's like, it trades a little bit for like seconds, and then it's like halted for 5 to 10 minutes. And so you just have to wait it out. And this thing, of course, halts, 30 minutes, 35 minutes before the close, conveniently. So if someone was shorting this, they're basically dead. And then reopens after hours where there's no halts, but there's less liquidity and there's no stop orders. You have to use your limit orders. And so, obviously shorts had to cover and probably sent this thing into the double digits briefly before it came all the way back down, settled back down, and now it's in the 3s. So that's just another day in crazy small cap junk land. Always a fun time. So it closed up 1,000%. Over 1,000%. So this is how it goes. Another crazy one in recent weeks, I think, was JLHL, also Chinese stock. So China is just a recurring theme with all of this. Let's just see what this did. If we can go back on 20, yeah, so this thing ran, okay, what was this? The 9th, July 9th, it ran from 3s to, get a better chart, but 3s, and then it kind of went up intraday to double digits, and then after hours, it briefly hit over 30. So that's, another 1,000%-ish type move or close to it. Gee, why can't we just, get in beforehand and just ride these things all the way up and retire forever, right? It's like you're getting returns people would kill for in 20 years in just one day or not even. So, but again, these are all trash. You don't they can rug pull at any moment. It just really depends on sentiment. And just lately, with everything going on with China, whether it's AI related or whether it's geopolitical related, they always have some stock that's pumping. So always a fun time. Any questions on this before we get to our main topics? Nope. Okay. All right. So let's get to the regular stuff. All right. So even though this is not, it's become less and less of an issue, we do have to cover Iran. What's the latest? Has anyone been dialed in? I think some fighting has resumed, right?
More strikes.
More strikes, yeah. Yeah, what's the deal? So let's see what's going on here. I mean, the market doesn't seem to be responding too heavily to any of this stuff. I think the market's pretty much back to the AI related trade. Maybe some of the wait and see mode is based on it, but I mean, we look at that, we look at what's oil futures doing, 80s. I mean, it had been in the hundreds months ago, and then it went back down to the 70s, sub 70, and now it's okay. It's trended back up, probably with some of the fighting that's resumed, but probably not to the extent previously. Let's see here. 10th consecutive day of strikes for the U.S. 4 p.m. Eastern Time Monday, with CENTCOM saying strikes are designed to further degrade Iranian military capabilities. Okay. Related to the Strait. Yes. All right. So just more stuff concerning the Strait of Hormuz. 3 U.S. service members were killed, okay, in Iraq and Jordan. For back-to-back Iranian attacks on the U.S. base appear to have evaded defenses, with nearly 100 injured in recent weeks. Okay. It is affecting some people on the U.S. side, it seems like. Trump, saying some stuff. All right, so yeah, this is kind of spilled over into other countries. Jordan, okay, Israel's involved, yes. We talked about the funeral last meeting, yes, for the Supreme Leader, all right. More of the same. I mean, does anyone want to elaborate further or discuss this further?
I feel like it's gonna be like this for a while.
Yeah.
Continuously stopping and going until Iran just gives up nuclear power at the end of it all.
Right.
I think it's gonna negotiate until the end.
Yeah, I guess the question is, when do they officially end this thing? When do they officially, both sides, sign an actual agreement, like an agreement that's like finalizing everything?
I was reading that the US has only I think 43 days of reserves left. This is something I read on Reddit, but the theory is that Iran's just trying to push this out and try to stagger this out until all reserves run out, at which point the entire world is going to pressure the US into start giving to Iran's demands or whatnot. So they're just trying to write it out, because I was also seeing that they don't really have any military capability left. It's just a bunch of people on trucks with anti-missile guns or something. So I feel like they're really trying to stall until there's enough pressure from the entire world, because they hold the choke point for oil. So
some of the reserves thing, and again, who knows exactly, but
yeah, that is very true.
16 days of consumption if the only supply, theoretical worst case, and okay, there. So maybe 10 to 20 weeks. Says, I don't know. So you don't know exactly. I do think, yeah, like you said, there's going to be some residual fighting. It's kind of like shades of. Now, this is not the same type of war, but there's definitely probably shades of what happened with the U.S. being involved in Afghanistan and Iraq, decades ago. And just things draw on for a while, and I don't know when you declare the war is actually over or not. Who knows? We've kind of been figuring maybe they try to officially, and not from a narrative perspective, especially the current administration probably wants to get this over with before elections, for sure. All right.
On the note of oil in the Strait, because you started talking about how many reserves are left, Iraq did ink a deal with the US to potentially reopen a pipeline that would be able to avoid the Strait of Hormuz as a choke point for moving oil through the region.
Interesting. So it's like kind of a, maybe that, okay, is this the other thing you're talking about? I'm trying to skim this.
Where
We talked about one in Saudi Arabia, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one. So there's an Iraqi one. Okay.
Yeah, because the current president just had a White House visit and it's much more open to working with the US.
Go over this real quick and see. We have multiple people prompting this meeting, like officially prompting Mohammed and Victor. So you guys just chime in if you see something faster than this, or yeah, we're different. Okay, Iraq to Syria pipeline, Iraq-Syria pipeline. Okay, July 17th agreement. Okay, 2 million barrels per day capacity once fully rehabilitated. All right, Chevron's involved. Interesting. Let me just double check Chevron real quick. See if, I mean, it's a big company, so I don't know how much this moves the needle. Looks like oil stocks have gotten some bids in the past couple of weeks, or at least since the start of July. All right, on all this. All right. The line's been closed for decades, needs a full reconstruction. Okay, this is like something that's been dormant for a while, if they're just reopened. Okay, so could be something. We'll see. But yeah, it seems like they're gonna try not just this, but it's like they'll figure out what they can do to sort of find like rerouting the oil, etc. And it seems like the market, with how the market's been pricing it, is more or less getting past, except for that little spike back to the 80s on crude futures. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to see $100 on oil consistently anytime soon. Yeah, so.
Does anyone know if he mentioned it in his speech
Which
was that Wednesday last week?
Thursday.
Trump
on
Iran. Did he mention Iran at all in that speech?
Not really.
Oh,
okay.
Other than just saying that we were succeeding there.
Tracks.
Yes.
We're up to interpretation on what that means.
Yes. All right. Any more stuff on Iran before we get to the other topics? Okay. There's a lot of topics that I think are really interesting that I kind of want to bring up. So since this is part of our portfolio, Bloom Energy. Bloom Energy has been hit lately. There is a short report.
Hindenburg?
Hunter Brook, it's like another Hindenburg type thing, or Citron, even though Citron's going to jail now. There's always some kind of short seller, firm that does these reports. So this Hunter Brook, hit with a short piece on Bloom. We have Bloom in our TIG portfolio. It's not a big position, but it's kind of like another bottleneck. They do turbines for data centers. And they've kind of had, they've secured deals with, I think they have with the Oracle Stargate, which we will get into after this, but it seems like they've had sort of this really good growth potential and the stock's been moving a lot lately. But it's run into some headwinds. So first off, with this short report, so it's been tanking from 350 down like sub 200 since that. So Hunter Brook Media published a report July 8th. Let me just double check this. So start of July and then it's kind of going down. They disclosed a short position. Stock fell as much as 12% on the day. The shares had been up over 200% year to date, 1,000% in the past year. like a lot of these crazy bottleneck plays. Yes, was priced for perfection, true. So the thesis was about scandium, which apparently is a rare earth that's used in its solid oxide fuel cells. So Hunterbrook built a model estimating Bloom would need 220 tons of fuel cell grade scandium oxide to support the 5 gigawatts of production Wall Street models against about 240 tons of projected global supply. Okay, so in other words, their growth plans would consume essentially all the scandium on Earth, leaving no room for error competition. And also, apparently, who has all the scandium or most of the scandium? China. So they said, you know, they're getting this from China. Bloom has been kind of not outright admitting it, not denying it, really. They've been kind of like hush-hush on this, but I think it seems like there's definitely some smoke here, at least. Just it's math based on how much scandium there is and what Bloom needs for their turbines. It just, they got to be getting it from China directly or indirectly in some way. And I did do a deep dive on this in the Claude prompts on the Discord, so I've kind of done some prep on this. But Bloom has been sort of obviously any company that gets attacked by these short report firms is going to have a PR pushback, a rebuttal. But so Bloom's rebuttal was that they said, yeah, the allegations are false and misleading. They reaffirmed their audited financials. They said they have enough scandium oxide to meet current demand and backlog. They're not dependent on China. They have the supply chain visibility to support 25 gigawatts per year production. The shares did bounce a bit, 6% on the response. Crossroads Capital, I guess this is another firm, had another. I wonder if they're all kind of coordinating. I mean, we'll never know for sure, but are they kind of like, yeah, you come out with this. And there might be some stuff going on in the Twitterverse with this. But anyway, Crossroads Capital published a strikingly similar short thesis within 24 hours, saying the resemblance was coincidental, but it validated the view. Their critique of Bloom's rebuttal is noting. They point out the response was written largely in qualitative terms. Scandium is tiny per cell, abundant from multiple countries, quote unquote, i.e. objectives, not tonnage. That's the crux of the debate. Bloom hasn't published hard numbers refuting the 220 versus 240 ton math. So they're not refuting it. That's a big thing, is you got to pay attention to the wording. Yeah, so shares have been tanking. I mean, they went further down, 200 now. Yeah, so anyone have thoughts on this one before we get to the next piece about Bloom? Who has Bloom in their portfolio by itself? Yeah, we just have it in the tape portfolio. Okay, all right. Well, I think, yeah.
I was bullish on it until I read this.
Yeah.
And I dove deeper into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they threw an like Hunterbrook was like accusing them of fraud as well, which that I don't know. I think it is suspicious that the CEO and the COO came out and said, no, that's not true, but then didn't support it with any math or numbers. Which is never a good sign.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting in the Discord, the Clawbot, like essentially said like this thing's priced far beyond perfection.
Yeah.
So whether or not you even like consider the fraud or you just look at the basic, like is there really enough supply? The risk reward has completely 180'd. From what it was, call it 2 months ago.
I did some analysis with that Claude, and it was like, I think this is also including the Oracle thing, was like the market cap should be like, fair value estimate should be like 20 billion or so. It was like 60% below where it is right now even. And I was like, well, like we either believe it or we don't. I think it's one of those things where, okay, given AI infrastructure and just the sheer compute demand, and this is also why I've been like, look, with Iron, right? Iron's been kind of annoying lately. Even with all that, like negative stuff, given the compute demand, it doesn't mean that this is just going to crash. Like it could very well just, okay, it's a short-term thing, but because the demand's so crazy, they'll get more deals. It's kind of open season for just getting their turbines and data centers. It's a huge, huge need for it. Everyone wants their stuff, so it's like, well, I don't know how much it's gonna affect it. It's throwing a wrench in things right now, that's for sure. No doubt about that.
I hold Bloom Energy
You do have Bloom Energy.
in an ETF. That's about it.
Okay.
It's like there's like a less than 1%
Yeah.
stake in it, I guess.
I don't know if there's anybody here who is maybe more tapped into the legal side, but is it fraud if they continue to make new deals knowing that they can never actually hit that capacity?
What
Is that I don't actually know.
How dependent is a turbine on scandium? Scandium?
When do you guys wanna ask that? Well,
Can you not like create new, like, go a different route? Like they could get creative.
right, could Bloom, in theory, pivot away from that, right?
So Hunter Brooks' supply demand model argues that scaling from 1 gigawatt of deployments in 2026 to 5 gigawatts annually would require 220 tons of scandium oxide, which is against the projected global supply of about 240 tons.
They're quite
Can you add
the whole there.
Is Bloom able to sort of like use an alternative, divert from that?
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't know the tech too well, but yeah.
You're strangled there if you can't do like
Right.
there's no growth.
Kind of means they're at the whim of China,
Yeah.
you know, either way. That doesn't mean that they're screwed. It just means, well, if China wants to sort of do anything to slow them down, maybe they could in theory.
Or even it doesn't mean it's a bad business, it just means that it's not a $200 billion business anymore. Maybe it's a $25 billion business.
Right.
Which is fine if you bought in when it was $1 million business.
So very conveniently, semi-analysis, which is kind of the leading, they have they do these reports on Substack, whatever, Twitter, and they might be using insider information, which I believe is bullish for them, in terms of listening to them, if that's true. We don't know. But anyway, they say there's been issues with Oracle's Project Jupiter in New Mexico. Data center build out. They plan to use Bloom Energy. They're at the risk of a 1 to 2 year delay due to permitting and pipeline blockers. Okay, so Oracle plans up to 2.45 gigawatts of installed Bloom fuel cell capacity at that campus. Okay, and this is for OpenAI infrastructure. The fuel cells from Bloom were slated to replace previously planned gas turbines and diesel generators. Okay. Okay, so they do, these fuel cells. Okay. There's just, again, data centers, these build outs are not things that can just happen overnight. These take a while and there's all kinds of red tape they have to get through. And this is just going to be a recurring theme. Oracle, I think, has been hit hard. Brian, you've been pretty bearish on Oracle, right? We had that whole, there's a little thing on Oracle last meeting, but still keeps declining. I wonder if this also impacted it to a degree, although Oracle's a huge company. But, again, we don't know if sentiment's bottomed or not, but this is definitely not good for Bloom either. So this is.
I think we're gonna reach to the point where it might be a good time to buy Oracle. Maybe within two to 3 months. They're just heavily leveraged. That's
right.
Probably why we've seen this thing. But I think we're probably gonna have some chance to go into Oracle when they continue to go downwards.
Given the compute demand and so forth, and sentiment may have bottomed. Yes.
Yeah. And I think for what Victor said, in terms of Bloom Energy, if they can't reach the capacity, obviously the hyperscalers are signing with Bloom Energy, and they know the risk of not being able to get that production, and they know the risk for not being able to get those capacities produced or just delivered. So I think hyperscalers are taking a lot of risk, and especially Oracle too. They're taking a lot of risk in order to get these compute set up and data center set up. We'll see some much more craziness, I think, next year, because it's going to be the craziest demand supply we've seen for the compute ever seen in this human history.
Yep, and we have a lot more to dive into with that. Also concerning China. Mohammed, the scandium, do you have?
Yeah, so to answer the question about potential substitutes, there is one. The main alternative is yttrium oxide. there is a drawback. This particular substance, it requires an operating temperature of 1,000 degrees Celsius, as opposed to scandium that requires 700 degrees Celsius. And that difference means that you're gonna have an acceleration of degradation of the surrounding components. It's gonna have a shorter cell lifespan. It's definitely gonna require more expensive alloys and thermal shielding. And it's just gonna have a lower power density per unit. But on the upside, the global supply is about 11,000 tons per year, so it's pretty abundant. So you don't have any issues with having short supplies of it, but that's the only main alternative.
Scandium's like a regenerating, the scandium, it's not like a depleting resource, like the resource is.
Finite.
Yeah, there's not like a finite amount, but I'm guessing, I don't know, is anybody bullish then on blue?
We have it.
Very negative tone.
I was 6 months ago.
I can't find
Wait, so
anything.
can you explain what like turbines mean in terms of like what are they selling?
They produce,
What's their
I think
like
they're
business?
producing
Yes and no.
power for.
They sound like
data
turbines.
Well, I think it's the wind turbines, like the gears that power the turbines to spin in the wind.
The big ones outside in the field are already talking about the data centers.
Yeah.
So like natural electricity.
Yeah.
So,
So I can add something on the real estate side, like the limitation right now is power. You just like, even if somebody here, if we pulled money and said, I found the site, I wanna build this new data center, the limitation is actually power and infrastructure. You can't get power to these sites, literally, you just cannot get there. You'd have to build a new power plant. So I think what all these places are doing is we can't build a coal power plant, we can't build nuclear, like we can't, the only way to get the power is to build the infrastructure ourselves. So then enter solar turbines, other stuff like that.
Right, so I guess my question here is that does Trump administration like the natural electricities? Because I know he doesn't like the wind turbines. I know he doesn't like solars. He doesn't like those. Joe Biden's administration liked them. I know the Trump administration doesn't like them. So what is the expectancy for the rest of his administration?
So I don't know if I'm recalling all the details correctly, but I do know regarding data centers, there was an idea floated at the federal level of deregulating parts of nuclear power to allow them to use that as energy for a lot of data centers. Do you remember what I'm?
There's definitely been stuff on this.
That's the most renewable.
Yeah, so the whole power thing, yes.
Yeah, I think I looked at the former Secretary of Electricity or something, and they started a whole new company called Fermi, and they're building tremendous amount of nuclear power or electricity generation site for the data centers. And it is getting backed by the administration, but they're not on the red.
On Fermi, I had done a deep dive on that. So I'm not gonna say outright this is a money grab, but I had done some prompting on that one. This is like months ago. I think when they IPO'd or shortly after the IPO, and as you can see, it's just done nothing but crash. So yeah, that was, I think, Rick Scott, he had run for president at some point, but he was like, this was his, he was a big stakeholder in this, you know, and obviously he got something from the IPO, but I was just digging in. He's not the CEO though, he's not the operator. Diving into the CEO, I was just not sold on Fermi because of their previous history and having failed startups and not really delivering on their promises. So I just, you know, Fermi's right idea, but it's like, if you're going to really dig into like who's going to execute and who's not within this bottleneck, I would probably put them in the not category. Similar to when we discussed, right, Agility, Robotics, and CCXI, that whole SPAC last meeting, it's like, yes, that's the theme, but then is that company the one to really be the one that's going to lead or do anything with it long term? I don't know, besides pumping, which it could, you know, do. But Fermi's done nothing but crash now, so I don't know, maybe it's a decent buy now. But yes, Thanks for bringing that up, though. I'd forgotten about this one.
Yeah, I remember like one day we're trying to IPO and they said they're approved revenue, approved profit, they didn't even build this site, and I'm looking at it like,
Yeah.
this doesn't make sense
It's
to
been a lot.
IPO at this value.
Hey, we got an 8 forward PE now. That's the expectation for earnings going forward. So cash cow potentially, I don't know, but I don't know how much more downside there is. But all right, so anything else on the whole bloom, this aspect of infrastructure? Yes.
I'll just jump on Brian's point about Trump having being very favorable to nuclear energy. On May 23rd, 2025, Trump signed 4 executive orders explicitly targeting nuclear as the cornerstone of energy dominance. The goal is to quadruple the US nuclear capacity from 100 gigawatts today to 400 gigawatts by 2050. So to your point, they're very full on nuclear energy and actively hostile against wind and others.
Yeah, we're way behind China in terms of nuclear sites. Like China is way ahead of us, and if the energy for sure is the bottleneck, we're going to be way behind, and they're probably going to build so much nuclear centers. Obviously, we're going to face so much criticism from the citizens here, but that's what we can do to continue this rage and not get beaten by China.
Well, that's perfect for segueing into this, because we're going to talk about the LLM wars and how China also factors into this, because we've had a lot of new developments past couple weeks. So we had, I think it was Meta came out with Muse Spark 1.1, which is like their sort of, this is them trying to get back into the AI race with the LLM leaders. Because Meta has been behind, and Zuck has been throwing money to mine those OpenAI employees. Rumors almost $1 billion. That's, who knows if that's true, but he's definitely throwing overall billions at this thing, and maybe it's paying off now. So Muse Spark 1.1 was released July 9th. Meta Superintelligence Labs' second generation model, and more importantly, their first real API monetization move. There's a multimodal reasoning model built for agentic tasks. Okay, computer use coding, one token context, blah, blah, blah. Multi-agent orchestration, okay. And I know on the benchmarks, it was very comparable to, I think, Opus 4.8. So it's back. They're back up there, at least tech-wise. And I think a big aspect is by itself, maybe hard to imagine people just suddenly pivoting and adopting the Meta model by itself, but because Meta has all of this existing, these businesses, Instagram, Facebook, Facebook Market, whatever, WhatsApp, right, all that stuff. But you probably could figure out how to integrate Muse Spark into like every aspect of this, especially with the agentic AI angles. Does anyone have thoughts on this, or has been looking into this stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Because I think we've looked at it in the past, and we've found that essentially like 90% of Meta's revenue comes just through ads.
Yes.
So I can totally see the boost of revenue from just being in the AI space.
Right.
But I don't see how that helps their current business model, which is, unless they're going to offer like, hey, we'll make your ads for you or something, and we'll use all the data we have to make the perfect ad using AI. I don't see how AI benefits their current business model.
Right.
I thought the idea with them using their AI is to basically observe trends and like kind of package that. And so like if I search something up using their AI, I think Gemini might be doing this too. Well, the way things work now is like you search something up in Google, they know who you are, what you're searching for, and then they kind of sell around. I feel like that's kind of what they're trying to do in behind the scenes. Is like what you're searching up with your AI, they can package all that up, especially because it's more in depth.
Yeah.
And then effectively now they know you better than before, and they can use that to advertise better, and that's just a big selling point for them.
If anyone has, a perfect formula or profile of like a human, and just our social brain, it's like probably Meta has it down, better than everyone else or close to it. So I'm sure with whatever they have in their existing databases and their existing infrastructure, it's like they're going to put that in there. The stock has gotten some bids lately from this.
Look at the PD ratio.
Yeah, look at the value. I mean, this is still a cash cow. Even with all the spending they've been doing, and we've talked about all the big tech CapEx spending, right? Meta is one of those ones that they can do this for a while. They can just keep upping their spending. And we're gonna know a lot more with the upcoming earnings cycle, over the next couple of weeks. But like, we have to focus on guidance. But like with Meta, I'm like, they're well positioned in a lot of ways. Like, I'm even thinking about, hey, maybe we could consider adding this one to the TIG portfolio. There's some things we could probably replace, even though, yes, it is an AI play. It's not like a bottleneck crazy one. It's more diversified in what they do. So I think might be time, and they've come out of some recent, not necessarily headwinds, but just lots of uncertainty because they have not been put on the same tier as like an Anthropic or an OpenAI, and they have been behind. But it seems like Zuck's betting has been paying off, and that's something about a good CEO, especially. Love him or hate him. I know a lot of people hate him, but a generational founder like Zuck, he's a business psycho. He within the domain of business, he's going to play to win, and he will do whatever it takes, copy, innovate, whatever it takes. It's kind of like Bill Gatesy in turn when Bill Gates was running Microsoft. Lots of elements of that, and it's like, well, you don't really bet against someone like that. Now they're figuring it out. Yes, Omar.
What do you think they created with their glasses? Are they the only ones that are doing those?
So, well, Snap just came out with some glasses.
Wait, again?
Yeah. So a couple meetings ago, we talked about the Snap glasses, but we can talk, and again, maybe with this new Spark, they could do something with AR, VR, like with these glasses. I don't know, we don't know exactly, but is there an angle with Spark and the glasses? We'll see. I'm sure they've got stuff with this. Again, I think I asked before, but who owns Meta glasses? Who's tried Meta glasses?
I've tried them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the Apple Vision. I don't use Meta. But...
What do you think of the Apple ones?
Well, I haven't tried the Meta ones, but with the Apple one, it's very nice, especially for content consumption. And if they do head down to the route of making it lighter and adding more AR stuff, I do think they have a pretty good, because the research that they did and the way they developed it, they have a very good foundation, and they do have a very good path to contend, especially because people would adopt it like that.
Yeah,
it's Apple.
Right.
People see Meta and they're like, okay, cool, but when they see Apple launching something, especially at right price and marketing right, I feel like they can do a good contention. And I think they're trying to head that way.
Yeah, in addition to their ecosystem already, which everybody uses on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I think we should be looking, and not just Meta, but Apple, not just on the VR, which could be big, but some of these Mag 7s, right, that have been a little bit more overlooked recently, versus say your, even Google, Tesla, like Meta, Apple, Amazon, I think maybe it's time for them. The ones rooted in more value and just having existing stuff to play with. But yes.
The thing I was gonna bring up with Meta is the way these AI agents, in a sense, if you're thinking about making money, the way they do get a profile or make money is if you interact with them a lot. And I'm curious what the market share in a sense of people who use Meta as compared to Chat or Claude or Gemini even. I feel like Meta isn't that talked about. I know it's popular now because news came out, but otherwise how many people are really using Meta compared to Chat? Chat is probably the biggest, yes. Claude being up there, and then Gemini after those two.
To answer your question, if they spend more, if the users type with use Spark or ChatGPT or Claude, they lose money because they need to have this compute to provide to the users. So all the scale of these AI companies doesn't make sense, because if the users spend more, in normal business, format, they should be making more, but they need to pay more compute and for more compute supply so that like the users can get those computes, if that makes sense. But the new Spark, they have completely failed in terms of AI models for the last 2 years. The Mark Zuckerberg acquired this company called Scale, and they announced this guy Wang to the the head of AI for the Meta. They have not been doing well. They just recently launched new Spark. Their market share is not that good. Like even like in terms of the market share for these local LLMs, if you know what I mean. Local LLMs are dominated by current Chinese models because those are so cheap. The frontier models are obviously dominated by Claude and also OpenAI. But I think in order to Meta to continue to increase their AI in terms of their company, they got so much more to go. But I think the reason why they started just getting those their own compute, they're going to try to buy their own compute, make their own chip, is because their models has not been performing well, and they need to continue to make those. They're going to make their own data centers so that they can pay for those models, but also make some other revenue. If they're not.
I'm curious, Brian, do you have an opinion on? I mean, we all know much about Muse. I mean, MuseSpark apparently is, from what I've seen, haven't tried it, but it's near Opus 4.8 level. Let's just assume it's in that ballpark. Now, that's not enough to get people to just mass adopt it. Probably never going to happen individually, but they will integrate it into like existing services they have. But could that be worth it anyway? Because yes, they did pay 14 billion for Scale, and that valued Scale at 29 billion. But like if this produces, even throwing billions at like OpenAI employees probably came out to like tens of billions. But like all this together, if they can generate hundreds of billions in value, integrating MuseSpark into their existing stuff, which could very well happen, considering just the size of it. I mean, Meta has, like with Apple, billions of people using their stuff. So it's like, maybe it wasn't like a perfectly executed thing, but could the value add just be big ROI anyway?
No, I think in terms of like long-term future ahead for this Meta, they got great future ahead.
Yeah.
I personally think obviously the hyperscalers has not been performing as great as they wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think for the hyperscalers, since they have the product they've been already selling, they're also integrating the AIs and also data centers. Like they're gonna make so much money. But in terms of short term, I think Meta got to catch up. Like,
oh yeah,
obviously this MuseSpark it's very efficient, so they don't use as much as compute.
Yes.
But we're gonna see 1/10 of the token cost for these models at the end of the 2029 by 2029. At that point, obviously the compute demand will continue to come down. However, if the compute demand comes down and the token costs come down, people will use more because it's so much more cheaper in order to integrate into their business. So I think in order to have those models within your business is such an advantage, because like us, we cannot just build models, right? It is very hard in order to have those trillions of models, parameters into their compute. So I think they got a good future ahead.
I'm gonna add on to that. So recently they did introduce like data centers in Texas, which will be backed by BlackRock. So I do agree that in the short term they are behind. They're facing a lot of headwinds, and they are behind Anthropic and Cloud, which we have talked about before.
Yeah.
But I do think that they have a better use case than anyone else. And the one way they can integrate AI, which could be profitable, would be like targeted advertisement, and I definitely think that people will be paying for it. The amount of data they have, no one does. Which reel you like, which reel you share, what you comment on different reels. I don't think anyone has that kind of data, and the way Meta can use it, which I believe they still are, would completely change the game. So in the long term, I do feel that they're ahead, and they have a better use case than anyone else.
Yeah.
I just want to add on, he just brought me some memories about Zuckerberg. I completely agree that what you said about he's a business psycho. He's absolutely business psycho, and he will do anything in order to win this race.
Yeah.
So I think he's got a great future. I don't know if you guys have seen the news. In order to disrupt the other companies like Fable and OpenAI's training models, they have intentionally bought some people to go into those ChatGPT or Claude and type in some weird words like suicide or like some forbidden words in order to disrupt that AI model training. So I think like Zuckerberg
We might have to
he would do anything.
fact check that a little bit, I'm just saying.
Yeah, like I hopefully he's not watching the stream, but but I think like I think he would do anything. I think he is definitely a business psycho.
So, and this goes back to the whole, I mean, all right, like with the Teal Camillo prompt and all the stuff we run, like sometimes it just comes down to the CEO, you know, long term, like if you have a really good CEO and especially in tech who just knows how to pivot, knows how to like play that risk reward game properly, and you know it matters because it trickles on down to every other aspect of the business. Zuckerberg has, again, proven himself time and time again, right? From the start, from when they got off the ground with, you know, that Harvard connection, even if they stole it from the Winklevoss twins, who got a nice payout anyway. Does anyone think the Winklevoss twins would have built it to like what the thing is now, right?
No.
So there's something to be said about like, you know, the ideas, yeah, they're around, but it's like what the people do with it and what the CEO does with it. And Zuck has done it, you know, time and time again, made smart acquisitions with WhatsApp, with Instagram, recognized the trend in social media, like one of the hardest things to stay on top of and still manage to just keep growing. I mean, that's super impressive. And again, I don't want to like talk so rosy about Zuckerberg more, but there's a nice segment in I think it's 0 to 1 where Peter Thiel talks about like they like, you know, this is how they had conviction in them, like because even Thiel and some of the others were like, hey, we should have a meeting about maybe selling, I think it was selling Facebook to Google or whoever it was, or maybe Yahoo. And Zuck straight up just said, and he's like a young kid at the time, he's like, I don't know what we're doing here, we're wasting time. Like he already had a vision in his head, he knew what they wanted, like it wasn't going to be an exit like this. And so it's like, that's just someone who has it down, you know? So, yeah.
I'll throw some love on Zuckerberg too.
Yeah.
I think I've held on to the stock, I don't know, for like 6 years or something, and still hold it. And it's like,
yeah,
because I did my capstone my capstone study in whatever class, one of my final classes at UIC. I did a business ethics study on Facebook at the time, and literally every roadblock that man faces, it's like his decision making is like that, and like it works because he forces it to work. Right. So I think like the expertise that he has and his team around him has, I think will be able to thrive in whatever environment is coming for him. So it is dangerous to see what potentially might come from this, just because of his ability to succeed.
Never count Meta out of the race. All right, so we got to keep going. So this is kind of related, but you know, other Frontier Labs came out with their latest updates. So we had Grok by SpaceX now. Grok 4.5 came out July 16th. And again, this is sort of similar in terms of the benchmarks. It's like in that tier, not necessarily like, oh, they're in the lead, but okay. Comparable with maybe Opus or GPT, could be 5.5, whatever, I don't know. Just reading this. Trained alongside Cursor, which they did acquire recently, and lots of NVIDIA Blackwells, GB300s, all right? And then, yes, it's more efficient economically as well, similar to that Meta model. So now they're sort of improving on cost effectiveness. And so, yeah, you know, SpaceX, I mean, look, we don't know how to value SpaceX, but it's 119 now. Yeah. So Still a $1.6 billion company, but again, no clear valuation thing. I mean, in terms of risk, like you have Meta, which is, okay, let's just do a little comparison. Meta's also a $1.6 billion company. SpaceX, 1.5, they're basically the same in terms of market cap, market valuation. So like what Meta has going for them, all the stuff, existing businesses, existing cash flows, now with maybe a comparable model. I mean, Meta is kind of the value play. Then again, you never know with SpaceX and how Elon's vertically integrated so well, positioning wise. That's more of like if you can model out or forecast out the exponential scaling potential. But again, there's so much uncertainty there. So SpaceX has been going through it, but yes, they're doing developments. And I think with them though, and this is smart to act as a giant neocloud because they have their Colossus data center. They've been investing heavily into the infrastructure part. So they might not have to win the whole LLM war. And so they have Anthropic as a customer, you know, they have Google as a customer. So it's like, even if they fall behind, well, those companies need compute. SpaceX is going to provide compute anyway. So again, you can't count them out. It's just, they have sort of diversified out how they can play this. So it's just different strategies. Yes.
I just have a question, like when do you think what price point should be the right time to enter into SpaceX?
That's a very good question. I don't think.
Wish I knew the answer to that.
We could ask.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah, depends on who you ask.
Ask Claude.
Yeah. Yeah, let's ask Claude. Let's see what it says just for fun.
This could give a wild search many sources.
But I mean, I would say this like well, for me, I'm locked up till September, but like better now it tanks than, later. Like at least, let's get this IPO, right? Let's get this IPO dip out of the way and let's get back to business as usual. I mean, Meta, when they were Facebook, when they IPO'd like in 2012, I think they tanked like 50-60%. And I think everyone was writing them off. The media was laughing at Zuckerberg as usual. And then of course, within a year, turn it around so much higher, And so I'm not going to say, again, SpaceX is not like some cash cow or something like that, but you can't, just like with Zuck, you don't bet against Elon. I know he talks up a good game too, and he plays the whole P.T. Barnum spin on things as well, but what they've done in terms of innovation, all that, tech-wise, and what they're doing, it's like, well, not to mention the whole rocket business and the orbital data center potential, right? Like, you can't count SpaceX out. So it's like you could make, I'm not going to say okay, well, let's see what Claude says for the value. I don't think Claude's really going to have any better idea than us. Nobody can hand you the right entry. Here's the setup so you can pick your spots. Okay, are they doing charts on this? What are they doing here?
Support resistance.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, they talk about the drawdown, the EPS, yes.
Sounds like a finance 301 course.
Yeah.
Just buy a third.
Insider lockup expiration, yes. Well, that might be priced in, who knows? Falling knife into two known binary events, yes. The earnings, which are August 4th, okay, yeah, so keep in mind, for all these companies, these big techs, we got earnings. So probably next meeting, we're gonna have to be like diving into all this or adjusting based on what's come out. So there's a lot that we need to do wait and see on still. I'm not going to tell you X is the number. That depends on your sizing time frame. ChatGPT, can you tell us? Anthropic's been kind of like not giving answers lately on stuff.
Well, I'll throw a controversial twist on it. I'd say we should be thinking about it in terms of a timeline more than anything else. This lockup is something that is pretty intimidating for me as a potential investor of SpaceX. Looking at a $1.6 trillion valuation with no earnings reports, I'm not very comfortable. I want to see it below 1 trillion. I'm looking for 800 billion, around that. And I know that's another 50% sell-off from where we are right now. But I do think it's realistic that this stock is going to be fluctuating a lot, especially with more shares on the market in the coming months. And also, SpaceX has bad news, more than good news, honestly. We're going to see some launches that fail. We don't know how the market reacts to that. In reality, we know that launches that fail are critical to the success of the long-term organization. But in the meantime, how is the market going to value those things? So I think we will see SpaceX below 1 trillion, and just throwing that out there.
Basically, that would take them to like 80-ish, 89. I do think just from a pure trader perspective, yeah, we probably go sub 100 or at least test it just because. And yeah, we'll see if it gets down there, but again, market sentiment, especially with AI related stuff and stuff that has not really shown, that's not rooted in like solid financials. It's been quite rough, even though the overall market's been still near its all-time highs, but you know, a lot of divergence going on right now. Has anyone been dialed into the whole launch aspect, how that's going with them or no? And we can just ask them.
They just had a delay, right?
Okay.
So the stock did react to that a little bit.
All right, so ChatGPT says sub 120, excellent long-term buy, fundamental. Buy aggressively. Okay, well, at least we got an answer here, right? You know what? Let's just trust ChatGPT on this, right?
If you're talking to a rocket business, like purely in that aspect, what kind of competitors do they even have? Like Boeing is
right. Yeah. United Airlines.
like nowhere near there. And then I know like Honda, is it? They're somewhat nearby making reusable rockets, but I don't really see any other companies even doing anywhere near where they are.
Yeah, they're or like up there and like they have the monopoly like easily.
But see, then that's the question. Is the market going to value SpaceX like a space company or trade it like a space company or more like an AI company?
Are they trying to trade like a space company? Because if you look at them, they're trying to position themselves as a telecom company with Starlink, or they're trying to do data centers. So what exactly are they even
trying to do? Like 5 things at once.
Exactly.
Like all right, Starship, let's just look at this real quick. Okay, Starship version 3 on May 22nd, a little while ago. All right. So new version of Starship, okay. Seems to work. Flight 13 for the V3, except for July 16th, this was a delay you're talking about. Okay, aborted at the last second when several Raptor 3 engines failed to light at ignition. Okay, so it's still early because we're just on Flight 13. Again, Starship is gigantic, right? Dwarfs like a lot of other stuff that's been put up there.
So that Thursday date is going to be pretty important.
July 23rd. Okay, so this Thursday, we'll see how that goes. Maybe that's, again, it's just one launch, but the market will find excuses to like jump on a certain event just for fun.
We should try and hop in the war room on Thursday.
Yeah.
Watch
this launch.
Yeah.
See what the stock does reacting to
It's
it.
going to be like Succession.
Yeah.
Just watch
What
it
time?
Hopefully it doesn't blow up. 10:45 p. Oh, 5:45 p.m. Central Time.
Thank you.
Sorry.
We'll carry the first 20 Starlink V3 satellites to space. It'll extend solar arrays and antennas and attempt connectivity tests. So it's a suborbital trajectory, so they burn up on entry rather than staying in orbit. The objective is the full profile: ascent, stage separation, boost back burn, landing burn. Okay, in the Gulf. Okay, hardware software changes to fix issues from Flight 12. Okay. Matters because, yes, critical path for NASA's Artemis 3 lunar landing planned 2027, and for scaling the whole Starlink, yes. It did drop 3% on the July 16th aboard. Okay, so the stock is sort of reacting to these launches. It is. And I think, yeah, Starship is a big factor. And then Falcon 9 just keeps doing its thing. It's not size or scale of Starship, but again, so they do have their existing stuff going. All right, so this launch could be somewhat significant. We'll see how that goes, and earnings, of course. All right, let's keep going. Just on this, okay, GPT 5.6. Who's still using ChatGPT as their main thing? Okay,
I got about worried when I saw the hesitation.
On my phone.
I think it's still the most downloaded app, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just in name, I mean, there is something the first first reasonable mover advantage, I guess. GPT 5.6 came out. Yeah, Fable still beats them. Fable Mythos beats them on stuff. But it seems like it's, again, another top tier type thing. And of course, they have the customer lock-in so far. Okay, Microsoft made GPT 5.6 the preferred Copilot model same day. Interesting. I mean, Microsoft has historically sort of been tied into OpenAI. I thought that sort of got winded down, but it seems like, okay, well, Microsoft's also kind of a cash cow. Who uses Copilot?
I'm forced to.
Everyone,
everyone's kind of
everyone has to use Copilot for work, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Because
you know, my work uses
Yeah.
Gemini.
Does anyone actually like using
My work
Copilot?
uses Gemini.
I don't mind it.
You don't mind it, okay.
Don't mind.
I'm not a fan of it, but
Right.
I don't have a choice.
What do we not like about it? That's the question.
It's so integrated in every
Yeah.
enterprise level
Yeah.
thing. That's what everybody's just like, yeah, if you're not using Microsoft, if you don't join on like a Teams meeting, like your external meetings, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look down on you a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could use
Business customer lock-in, there's something to be said. I mean, all that built up stuff over time with Microsoft Windows being a monopoly for what it was. And
There's an incredible amount of data
Yeah.
that all these companies house with
Right.
Microsoft. So
I mean, not even just that, if you have the premium version, being able to just click on the icon and then do something that would take you probably 5 tutorials and then a bunch of troubleshooting in Excel in about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of crazy though. Like I remember like 6 meetings ago, maybe 4 meetings ago, we were talking about how shit the software companies are. You know, we don't have all these data. They're gonna just continue to go down. And I love how we're just talking so positive about software companies. Microsoft.
We just go with the flow, you know?
Yeah.
Flow changes.
I
Negative right here. So,
I just love how it just continues there.
well, isn't Microsoft's big play into AI just investing into OpenAI? Like that's what I've seen them really do.
Historically, yes, we can look at more, what's the,
They're also focused on physical build out too. So they're diversifying themselves. But I don't think they're investing in Claude or any of the other big ones.
I feel like they're doing what Apple's doing, that's kind of just using existing models and like investing into them rather than trying to build out their own thing.
I heard that they are also really pushing the Xbox world to get into like the AI rendering. They're trying to integrate their exclusive games.
I heard about that actually. I think it was Copilot, so.
They have the advantage in that aspect. But
I know, apparently, I think like how it's supposed to go is that's according to the CEO, I think her name's Asha Sharma, right? I think how she's planning on going about it is with the Xbox Live interface. I think they still use Xbox Live, where like now they're integrating Copilot and essentially using Copilot to like, essentially generate algorithms that, recommend games based on your interests or even like recommend like ads based on your, it's similar to like, how like you just
get their kids.
yes, natural flow.
Microtransactions.
Similar to how we talked about, again, different, but like with Meta and their existing businesses and integrating new Spark, so Microsoft integrating Copilot into Xbox.
The products already exist.
like not only like Xbox Live, even like the Xbox Game Pass and the PC too, they're trying to leverage that into work for like PC gamers. So
Yeah, so they'll just, with the businesses with all the existing stuff, it's like maybe their model isn't like the best, but it's like good enough, and then it just throw it into your existing stuff.
yeah, no, even okay. Can I add into that too?
Sure.
Okay, so another thing I read, it's based on like different sentiments, right? I'm not sure if it's by the CEO herself, but based on different sentiments where I think of course they're using your existing Xbox Live account and how it's connected to like if you have to have like an Outlook account, right? So I think with like if you have an Outlook account, and Xbox Live account, you can connect those two together. So they're gonna try like integrating those into like the what's called Copilot algorithm, where it just like reads it and sets like what's called anything based on your interest, right? So say if like a new game has to be announced, right, or like any leaks, it's gonna like essentially recommend you based on that. Even with Copilot 2, if you have been asking questions, and of course like it can be anything towards like games or all that or whatever it may be, they're gonna essentially leverage it. It's like a whole ecosystem going on.
We'll see how it develops, but yeah, just more of that sort of integration stuff. I just want to get to this point on, okay, so Microsoft OpenAI. So yeah, initially I think the stake was near 50%, right? It wasn't controlling, it was like 49%, right? It's been we capitalize, AI converted to a public, for profit. Microsoft ended up with a roughly 27% as converted diluted basis, October 2025, valued at $135 billion. And then April 2026, unbundling. Yeah, Amazon had a deal. They invested $50 billion in OpenAI against $100 billion in cloud commitments, AWS. All right, so now Microsoft has a 27% stake, tech license through 2032. Okay, so, and OpenAI raised more, 852 billion valuation in March. Microsoft's stake is 228 billion. So Microsoft is still kind of a play on OpenAI, kind of, not like the majority or whatever, but there's an element of that too, even Amazon too. So they are tied in with each other, which is interesting. I don't think there's probably a merger anytime soon, but like, okay, well, if you're looking at, if you want some OpenAI exposure besides, like a freaking DXYZ or one of those types of things, like Microsoft is not bad combined with all of the stuff Microsoft is doing. And Microsoft has been kind of like another overlooked Mag 7, you could argue. So yeah, something there.
Could I add something?
Yes.
So I think what we see with Microsoft and Amazon getting into OpenAI is mainly due to their cloud storage.
Yes.
So we see Microsoft's one of their biggest pinpoints for their upcoming earnings is their Azure cloud business. And overall, that's been outpacing Amazon's cloud service. I think last earnings, it was like 40% growth. So that's what investors are mainly looking for. But we also have Google's earnings coming up on the 22nd. So that's going to be like the benchmark.
Just one after another, some on the same day, I think. So we're gonna know a lot. That's the bottom line. We're gonna know a lot in a week or two. That's for sure on all this. We gotta keep going because we are running into 7 o'clock. And so big development last week. So July 16th. Yeah, startup called Moonshot AI, Chinese startup, released a model, Kimi K3. And this seems to be sort of up there. Not Fable level, but still Opus, okay, it says closely behind Claude Fable 5 and GPT 5.6 Soul in independent evaluations while outperforming rivals on specific tasks like front-end coding and non-context work. Moonshot itself was honest that overall performance still trails the most powerful proprietary models. Okay, but the big thing is this is open source, open weight, whatever, and lots of people are running it. Demand's huge. And then 2 days later, they decided to pause subscriptions on it because of the compute limits that they ran into so fast, which also means, okay, well, that just means more of the AI infrastructure trade is still green light overall, even though this is Chinese, but just a more, hey, it's still more of that. We need compute. That's the bottom line. But this Kimi thing, I mean, it's a big development because I think this is China's most advanced thing that they've come out with, any Chinese company. And Kimi is, again, did some digging over the weekend with the Claude, and Kimi is owned to a degree, or Moonshot's owned by Alibaba. I think there's like a 20-ish, it was 36% stake. Now it's like 15 to 20% probably by their estimate after latest funding rounds. So if you want exposure to this, exposure to the China end of the AI race, maybe Alibaba.
It's up 20% since it's.
Yeah, so this is, it's been getting some bump on the Kimi news.
Yeah.
And so, again, deep value, yes, Chinese company valuations have been a little sketchy, but I think you can't go wrong with at least the big tech leaders. I mean, I think their financials are legit. Baba's got their hands in a lot of things. They got their own model too. I think we did talk about that last meeting a bit. Pretty good too. So there's a huge, I mean, if you think about, okay, we got Meta, right? Again, not a one-to-one comparison, right? Meta is a $1.6 billion company, right? Baba is under 300 billion, or 1.6 trillion, under 300 billion. this is just a fraction of the size. And arguably they have, right, their whole Amazon-like, I mean, compared to an Amazon too, but like their whole, right, the e-commerce side, they have their models, they have a stake in Moonshot. They're, you know, probably on decent terms with the CCP. I don't know, maybe not Jack Ma, but like, I don't know, he's still alive, I guess, but like, you know, they got some stuff going here. And it could be like, hey, this is a good way to play. Again, I don't think China's, you can't count China out of this race. I mean, Gavin Baker has said, oh, he thinks America runs away with it. Well, China's got lots of brain talent. This is a whole nother rabbit hole to dive into. Don't want to spend too much time on this, but again, I won't go in on the prompts, but Moonshot's founder is, you know, from China, but he did his PhD at Carnegie Mellon here in the States. And then he went back. And so there's a lot of, you know, obviously discussion on Twitter about this whole thing and how it relates to the incentives, right? And the H-1B thing. But historically, a lot of PhD programs in STEM, which love it or hate it, there's a lot of carryover into like what goes on, you know, at the frontier labs with this type of brain talent. A lot of those people come from China. And in more recent years, they've been going back to China rather than staying in the US. Not, I mean, it's still not like a huge trend, but it's, you know, there's definitely more reasons to go back to China now and build stuff there. So I think it's just, you know, it's a data point. We're probably going to see more of this type of stuff, but you can't count China out based on just the sheer first number of people that they have, and then what they've lasered in on, what they're focusing in on, and I guess where they were in the AI race before, now where they are now. So it's like there's still an angle there, and I think this is just it's a new Cold War. You know, it's U.S. versus China, but you know, there's a lot of room for both sides to get a lot of value capture and growth from this stock-wise. Anyone want to have thoughts on this whole thing? Yes.
My understanding is that like Chinese citizens do not have access to any US AI models, right? Like
right.
So whatever is popping off in China is effectively what the Chinese citizens are using, which they're bigger than the US population. And to your point about people going back, like they don't have, this is more of a little bit of off topic, but they don't have the same brain drain that India is having right now.
Yeah.
Where people come here and look to stay here. They're more of like citizens are either not even coming here or going back, which means they have more of the capability, like their top talent, so to speak,
right,
staying there and developing there, which means now you have an active user base who is ready to use it, and then you have the talent available to develop it. So it's like you can't heavily just write them off because even if they don't spread it outside, just within themselves, they have more than enough infrastructure to like build and grow.
And this is some stuff I just saw like on Twitter, and again, it's people's opinions. But now you know how Twitter does the whole translation thing. You can see tweets from like other countries like that get like viral, right? There's a viral tweet from someone in China, in Chinese, that got translated. It's like, you know, it's interesting because they're talking about the new wave of like these big time Chinese tech CEOs, and they're like, they're more just like academic overachievers, even within the standards of China. They're more like academic overachievers, not like the big talkers like a Jack Ma or something like that. And they're talking kind of about this. And again, don't know him personally, but this Moonshot CEO. And it's like, well, maybe that's the sort of direction it's headed, like with the new who's going to run businesses, just crazy. Again, I've been doing this whole analysis on like some of the startups here, and Cognition's one of the ones I'm looking at, but it's like they have 11 or 12 gold medalists from the informatics Olympiad, you know, some of these international, like just sort of programming or math competitions. Now maybe it's coming into play because of what you can do in building with AI on that. And it's just a different sort of way to look at how businesses are built. I think there's still a lot of social skills you need to run a company, et cetera. But then it's like, oh, maybe now we're just moving more towards this like straight up brain talent. But again, that's all like speculative talk. That's kind of off topic. But yes, did you have something to say? Yes.
I was about to add something in respect to, like, you know, Chinese, like, essentially going back to China for work. I mean, especially PhD students. I think I'm also right what factored into it is, like, you know, I think changes with the visa policy, especially like international students too, that's been like another factor towards that. So
Like government is not like actually letting people stay here and making it more difficult for international students.
Right.
Because I'm facing the same thing right now.
Yeah.
So it's so much easier for me to go back, like just personal experience. So much easier for me to go back, start my own business. I would have everything regulated more easily because I'm citizen there and not citizen here.
Yes.
But if I want to start my business here, then it's 10 times more difficult. Because I'm from another country, that's and I can make money from back home, still have US clients.
Yeah, and right there, that's a big incentive.
Yeah, because I can earn in dollars, spend in rupees, which gives me a lot of margin compared to staying in this country and spending it here.
Yeah.
So
and then
maybe that's the reason people are moving back too.
Yeah.
I want to add on to this.
Yes.
Sorry, are you done?
No, yeah.
Okay, speak. But like, I do think there's like pros and cons because like on the other side, think about a situation in which someone actually works here for like 20 years and then goes back to China or India to use that learnings that they have, you know, learned from the US technologies.
Yes.
And then so we're just counting in the fact that the brain drain is, you know, is from a much more earlier time of their lives, which is college, or for example, that you give Moonshot CEO leaving after Carnegie Mellon. But think about the fact that if he was able to work, perhaps if he wanted.
A lot of people think, why do all that when I can go back to a more an environment I know and take that knowledge.
Exactly.
So the market structure for them is now it's there and it's growing. Like, right, because decades ago it wasn't there, but now it is. And the US, I mean, a lot of the US lead has been sort of because of our more mature market structure, you know, our bizarre capitalist system with X amount of regulation, but it seems to work for facilitating business growth. So yes, and probably why we have a lead with the frontier labs too, and how much funding they can get. But again, China's not that. Solving blooms, not bloom energy, different blooms, not bloom energy, different bloom. Some study that was done in 1984. And again, this is something, I mean, well, this is what they did back in the day for those aristocrats and their kids. One-on-one tutored students perform 2 standard deviations above classroom students. So yeah, there's something to be said about just direct instruction tutoring, you know. So it's that kind of thing. All right, we'll see what they do with AI. That seems to be the next thing. There is competition. Khan Academy is doing something. It's called Khan Mingo. ChatGPT as a tutor thing. Okay, frontier models may be trying to get into this. And again, there's our whole Duolingo thesis, but that's not really directly related to this. But again, education could be something here. So what do you guys think? What's the future of education? Does anyone have any big ideas or thoughts on just all this stuff in general? Who wants to go? Okay, Jordan.
Well, okay, mine should be quick, I guess. But I have a friend, a family friend, kind of dad, who owns a mathnasium business, which is basically like teaching kids really simple math. He said even before this whole AI boom that just like Googling and like kids. So I don't know. I'm
curious essentially like an AI that's stick to the code. So I really think there essentially like an AI that's stick to the code. So I really think there could be like a corner like that. There could be like a corner like that could like backfire in that corner. So
yeah. So yeah, we're still figuring it out, and schools are still figuring it out. And
we're learning the guinea pig phases.
Some studying that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the way I'm seeing this go, and in general, is that like, regardless of whatever public schools and private schools, like as you said with public schools, like that's not something that's going to move very quickly. Regardless of that, like with how affordable and open it is to access any of this, the way I'm seeing it is like it's a customizable like teaching assistant almost.
Yeah.
Especially the way I've seen it used is where you can customize it to how you learn and the type of learning style that you have, and you can it effectively teaches you for free 24/7, however you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. like my cousin who's into chess is sitting in my uncle's Tesla at the backseat playing chess with Grok.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is kind of the way, like you, in any case with math, whatever, you make a mistake, it's explaining why you're doing it wrong. And like that just, I feel like is a super tool to aid you in learning.
Right.
Where like whatever age you are, whatever you're doing, you just kind of, like before I would, with a lot of coding, like I would go to Stack Overflow and that's how I learned more coding than any assignment a professor gave me. So I see this the same way. It's like whatever issue I have or whatever annoyance I'm going through with school and stuff, having to figure out the teacher and the student having a disconnect. This is something that fills in that gap and then just allows any student at any level of whatever to be able to learn and like just grow.
Yeah. What is the point of learning if the AI does everything for us?
I think in a macro way, I don't see a lifetime that you eliminate a school, like a physical school. Kids go to school 5 days a week because humans are like, in the end, you're a parent, and then you're like, okay,
It's not
my
just
kid's
about
gonna
the
sit at
content.
home.
There's other aspects of it.
Yeah, like my kid's just gonna sit at home as like a 5-year-old and just be with a computer with them. I just don't see that happening in my life. Well, I guess I have a lot to live, but I don't still see that in my lifetime.
I mean, we're going into a completely different like
it's about how you
stream at that point. If you're
Yeah.
saying, okay, what if humans just stop going out and all they do is like are connected to like how affordable and accessible it is, whatever level of income you have, or what I'm trying to say is whatever financial status you have, whether you're like Bezos level or you're like a labor level, you still have access to this thing for free. So it'll allow you to learn at whatever scale you're at, and then effectively have that help in a sense.
Let's go Mohammed, then John, and then, yeah.
Well, I'll give like a contrarian argument to some of the sentiments expressed, because I think when you look at what the K-12 curriculum, sure, AI could be very good at tutoring you in some of the math or sciences, but I would argue that when you go above that, when you reach the graduate level, like for me, I'm an incoming law student, right? And inherently for me, reading about cases isn't about just accumulating knowledge, it's about making judgment calls after that. It's to prepare you to make judgment calls. I'd imagine for medical school, you're not learning how to do a surgery just so you can do surgery. It's also to make a judgment call if some complication comes up, right? That's something AI can't necessarily step in and do for you. So I think you have to be careful in how you deploy AI to teach kids, how to teach yourself, because what you don't want it to do is replace the judgment aspect. I think we all agree that AI is a really good substitute for the labor market. In many ways, doing arithmetic may no longer be a skill that our future generations may need from us, but making a judgment call from a CEO standpoint, or from a lawyer standpoint, or from a doctor standpoint, that's something that I think will always be something that humans should be reserved to do only. And for that to be necessary, you need to develop the proper competencies, which could be assisted with AI, but AI shouldn't just be used as like a reliant on, hey, AI will have the competencies and then I'll make the judgment, because you never know how the two go together.
That's so good.
Yeah,
That's why asset management can survive. It's because of like, it's not before like AI automated. It's just because.
So I'll say to a certain level, you can have AI like teach you and whatnot, and maybe, use it as a substitute to stuff you'd otherwise teach. Like, 200 years ago, people didn't really, like we didn't have calculators, so people need to know basic arithmetic. Today we have calculators, so like maybe that isn't so important. 100 years from now, who knows what will, but there's always limits to how much that goes. And at a certain point, we all gotta think.
Yeah, and we also have to learn how to do math by hand too. Like that's another thing. So we have like advanced technology, but even then we still gotta learn how to like do math manually. Even like writing too, it's like we also gotta learn how to write manually too. So
yeah, to continue that kind of contrarian aspect, two major points that came to mind is that the most innovative technology before the Industrial Revolution for knowledge were books. And someone could say what was stopping someone from sitting down and just being in a library all day, and because they have the world's knowledge around them. And Socrates famously believed when books and writing were becoming more common and prolific, that it would make people stupider because you're not using your brain. You're just picking up the book, going to the page that the information is on, and then you immediately have that information. You're not thinking, you're not retaining it. And so I think that those sort of arguments have existed for a while. And I'd also kind of, to Mohammed's point, really emphasize the fact that it's downplaying the importance of organizations and those sort of social technologies, because the reason that you don't sit down in a library and just self-teach is because you need a level of direction. If you have a really good book, and especially if it has workbooks, kind of mixed in there, you can be your own curriculum. But there's a reason people still pay for college, still pay for high schools and grade schools, because somebody is running that program for you, designing a curriculum around it. And so even if there is a world where we start to automate teaching and you have less of teachers and more of LLMs, that this is on the extreme end. I think people probably regulate to prevent this, but where all the students are using LLMs, I would still see it being a world where you have that institution of the school, you have the curriculum designed by someone, and then maybe just to cut costs there, having a handful of teachers direct the students on using those LLMs. I think they would regulate it to prevent that, but if we were being totally open, then that would be what I'd see the direction being.
Okay, did you want?
I would say that my wife being a pediatrician and being in the generation that we're going to be 57, 56 here this year. My wife's observations of the youth today are very fundamentally important. The essentials are simply this. We have technology. Technology is going to advance our intellectual capacities in so many ways, it's not even funny. But what it will not do is, like what all of you young people right now are doing, and I'm really impressed by your willingness to get into a room. Kids today do not know how to socialize. Kids today do not know, my son drives me nuts. He's got his Xbox, PS5, he got Xbox over here, he's got his tablet over here, he's talking to his girlfriend at the same damn time while he's talking to how many people on the damn computers, and then he's got his laptop, and today he's a consultant at RSM, Technology at Risk Consultant. Now, he has social skills. All of you have social skills. You're all looking at technology in a way that is unique, but you are the exception to the rule. You want to see a real movie thing that exemplifies or maybe even breaks it down even simpler? Go watch Toy Story 5. Toy Story 5 today is about how these kids are on devices. And unless the one kid who is not on the device is on the device with them, they're ostracized. This one kid is playing with the toy. Like, what the hell? You loser. How are you playing with the toy? So then the kid gets into the technology because she feels the peer pressure to do that. Then suddenly there's these chats. Oh, you suck. Do you see this? This kid finally got their tablet. Now that she thinks she's cool, like she's hanging out with us, she's fucking nobody. She's nothing. And so then the struggle is, okay, how do you maintain your individual self while participating in the gross economics of what's happening, whether it's social, intellectual, spiritual, or otherwise. All of you are doing a great job of maintaining your individual selves while participating in a group conversation like this. But how many people are doing this? No matter what you do, coming up from my generation, we had was a stupid yellow book that summarized novels and stuff. So you could write your essay and get through, and then.
Oh, you're talking about like X for Dummies or whatever?
Yeah,
like,
even before
books, yeah,
it was
a book series like Motorcycling for Dummies or something.
Right, something like that. Even more rudimentary than that. But the reality is this. Mr. McClellan said in Science, he said, I don't care what you do. I don't care what computer you get. I don't care what the computer can do. There is no computer that's bigger and better than the human brain. And that's where we had to understand and realize what technology is going to do for us, but more importantly, how are we as a people, as a human race, going to continue to have intellectual capacity so that we can talk with one another and have a real discussion. It's a real discussion. This is absolutely what I would hope my son is doing. This is actually what I hope more of your peers are doing. Because the things that are happening out there today, what if we get another Donald Trump? And not that Donald Trump is a bad person, it just depends on your point of view, right? But what if we get another Hitler? What if we get another Japan in the Philippines, where my family's from? What if we get another whatever? How are we as a human race, whether here in the United States of America or abroad? There's a lot of people who are from abroad. I'm an Asian. I'm Filipino. My parents came from World War II. Jeff, I used to walk to school in nothing but my bare feet. Dad, what the hell are you talking about? It's viable. It's real. But the tangible things of what we're talking about as we advance ourselves as people has to be more centered upon having this human interaction where you can look someone in the eye. You can't read a person based on what you see on the screen. You read a room, you read a person, you're able to build bonds and relationships because of what you see and what you're able to interact with. If you're going to depend on that, you don't even know who's on the other side of that. One guy came to me recently, dude, I'm talking to this girl. Tell me you're talking to her. Well, we text. What the hell kind of relationship is that? Like, you don't even know who's on the other side of the screen, right? So all this is great. I love where this is going, and I will participate more. But where you guys are at, you're the true leaders of tomorrow. Because there's not enough of you that are doing and taking the time to do exactly this. And the more you do it, the better off you are, and the more you can encourage your peers to get in here and do it with you. Our country and the other country, any other human race is going to be far better off. Because you can't lose sight of that. Like he said, the judgment call. You know, tell me what the numbers tell you. Well, is it necessarily the numbers? It's like going to Hawaii. A mainland person from the United States here, the 48 contiguous states, goes to Hawaii and starts telling the people in Hawaii how to run the hospital. Island people think differently than people on the mainland. Oh, you really think you're going to do that to us? I've already seen it happen. They freeze that person out. They cancel culture that person. That person who just got the head job of being the medical director of a hospital is sent back to the mainland with his tail between his legs because he didn't know how to read a room. He thought he'd just force change because I'm the guy. Doesn't work that way, with or without technology. So.
That was amazing.
Sorry.
Time-wise, that was great. Just long enough. There's something to be said for.
Thank you.
And leave on that note. Yes, thank you for coming.
I'll see you again, what, 2 weeks?
Yep, 2 weeks.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Have a great night. So, something to be said for, yes, there's certain aspects you can't replace. We're trying to do that to a degree with this group, like an in-person thing, right? And we see this trend coming more. School will, yes, aspects you can't replace. Yes, maybe with the learning side, but the social, interpersonal thing, something about neuron building, even I think if you brought up like writing things down, a lot of people don't do that anymore. There's studies on writing stuff down and how it actually gets info into your brain, neurons built. Like, there are just some human things you won't be able to replace. So we do need to keep going, but
Okay.
I think, yeah, it's a great discussion though. This is what we're trying to get. People just riffing and going, like, you know, me talking less on this education topic. Great. One brief thing, I did do a deep dive on Claude a while back. It's this other alternative school called Alpha School. I forget if this might be funded by like Peter Thiel or something, you know, that whole group, but they're doing a whole new like trying to optimize learning, sort of similar techniques, using some of the same stuff maybe that this Math Academy use. Just long story short, because we need to keep going, I dived into it. Seems like a lot of the learning acceleration or incentivization actually came from paying the students, just like with little, dollar here for this, and paying the students for habits, for good habits, not for the end result thing, but for like, hey, you read a book, that type of thing. So you can go down rabbit holes with that, but like that was the whole thing. It seems like that was actually what was helping, but again, lots to figure out there. Miguel, yes?
I think just a quick statement. I haven't seen any of these AI models really have like a kids mode installed into them. I feel like maybe if they look into that, that could really turn over the public opinion with AI and
probably
teaching it with students.
Yeah.
Because the AI models are mainly for adults. So
yes,
anybody could use it though. So I think a kids model will help that.
Maybe Duolingo's on top of this. I don't know, but going back to investing again. Quick mention, Duolingo might be a good value play. Look at that cash flow. Come on, look at that PE, $6 billion company trending very slowly back. I mean, we're still down on it, but hey, that's that whole education disruption thing. They are at the forefront of at least using AI for all their content. So still a work in progress, but we'll see where it goes. All right, we gotta keep moving. So should we talk about real quick? I mean, there's plenty of the iron, the iron thing with the new news with iron. We might talk about this next meeting. They just signed a deal. I think it was like 2-point-something billion right today for more compute. It was like not the big deal, but it was a compute kind of cloud deal. And I think Figure AI and what was it? Perplexity were, so some name companies were in it, so not bad. The stock came back to 40, I think. There was a whole letter with them about, so the independent board chair, I guess, wrote a rebuttal to shareholders and about the RSU thing that we were talking about last meeting, because the CEOs were giving themselves $1 billion of stock through 2031, which before they've really proven themselves, kind of not a great look. But the independent board chair kind of spun it. Long story short, and I didn't really agree with this, they said, hey, these guys, we worry about losing them. We need to lock them in and keep them. It's like, well, usually the board is the CEO's buddies and stuff, and they just approve whatever goes. It's like this is, I think that's a crap argument. A lot of people could read through that one. Yeah, that didn't really hold water. That probably contributed to more of the drop further to like low 30s that we saw with them. But well, they did get that deal, so we'll see if this is the start of like a turnaround, maybe in sentiment and so forth. But with that, 736. We need to. So there's some robotics things. Do we want to talk about that? I can move that to next meeting. Or should we just get to the lightning round? What do you guys want? Just say whatever. Just lightning round. Let's go. All right, lightning round. Who's got stuff? Yeah.
I know we talked about it earlier. I'm really curious to hear other people's thoughts on how this will change the market, and if you think it'll create a really unfair advantage. Trump's media holding company, Truth Social, was discussing offering a subscription model where the traders and Wall Street types would be able to get a faster feed. I don't know specifically how it would work, whether it's a separate website or it's sent to their email of Trump's Truth Social posts, which obviously have big implications for the market. Sometimes he says cryptic things that are intentionally meant to indicate one action or another that he'll take on the governing level. We've never seen that level of access given at a paid level.
That's just legal.
It's going to be like insider trading.
You know what? I'll check with legal counsel and I'll get back to you.
I mean, half of what.
So yeah, I'm curious what people think about that.
And everything with, again, DJT, Truth Social, their stock, it's just a big money grab, really. It's never been a serious company. and they've never really monetized anything or created $3 million in revenue on a $2.7 billion company. Okay, yeah, so nothing meaningful ever. I think this is just kind of like more of the hype thing, just like with whatever crazy things they've announced for branding Trump stuff. So I wouldn't even take it seriously business-wise. But again, well, Trump is the president, so, he's allowed to do this. I mean, yes, there might be some maneuvering, pushback, but they're cashing in. So I would lean towards that, Anyone else have thoughts on it?
But how do you think it would affect, like, for example, let's say that this is developed and there's a delay of let's say 10 minutes, and realistically knowing the internet, there'd be at least one person who would put it out immediately. Let's say a delay of 30 seconds, he puts out something about oil or something like that, or a new government project that is going to be in infrastructure, and then the day trading types who do subscribe to that would be able to
like if there's
invest early on whatever
insider front running thing they could possibly do.
Well, I think that's it's sort of what it's actually getting at. I think it's less of a branding thing, and that is
doing
more
stuff with prediction markets, but
the intentionality.
Again, until we know for sure, it's speculation. I do think, well, if you're thinking about tech wise, and if you're talking about like latency things, I wouldn't, even if they had some edge, I think, your Citadels and Jane Streets would be on top of this thing. Like your serious actual players who like spend every waking hour on this type of thing, investing in it. So again, others can chime in, but I think, especially given the size of this, again, $2 billion, and even with Trump's reach money-wise, it's still nothing compared to what these other types of, trading, whatever companies would have and what they can do. And even if there is a potential insider thing, I don't know. I just don't take it, and if we're talking just as a business, can't take it seriously. I don't think they're going to do anything meaningful with this. I think they'll just keep diluting the stock and paying themselves, and maybe they might do some sus trades through some other parties in the prediction markets. But again, in terms of actually having a platform that real traders or market makers are going to use, no, I wouldn't even give it like a fraction of 1% chance. Just trying to be straight up objective about it, just looking at it from that angle and knowing what I know about markets. But Abhi, did you want to?
I have two things to add to this.
Yes.
Not really in a direction, but I was reading earlier and I just confirmed the API costs up to $100,000 per month for high-speed institutional access and a discounted rate of $60K per month if a client commits to 3-year contract. So take that as you will.
You pay for Bloomberg terminals, like whatever.
I guess. I mean,
a 3-year contract doesn't even make sense because he'd be out of office by then.
I guess he thinks he has pull like beyond that to the market, so it's like
strings get reelected.
Yeah. But that
that's all it's a scam.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about this is that he's not trying to sell to individual people. His main target customers are what he said, Jane Street, Citadel, all those quantitative traders, because they gain those alphas by trading nanosecond, not just a second, nanoseconds. They're predicting the future, and if they do get these data in social media, and true social, they're able to leverage that so much and gain so much alpha from it. So, like, they would definitely buy into this. They will try to go into gain those data, and like obviously a lot of people are already collecting data from X. So like this would ultimately allow these companies to gain more alphas.
So I do completely agree with him. The other thing I was going to add is, I don't know if this will happen or not, but with like other types of data feeds like this, completely talking from a tech perspective, a lot of these companies heavily invest into getting as close as they physically can to these servers, like NASDAQ and whatnot, just because nanoseconds they need to be able to understand and then react to it. And the easiest way to do that is if you're literally right next to it. So take that as you will, but like wherever Truth Social is hosted, maybe if they take it serious enough, they could invest into that. I'm not sure, but like that's just 2 data points that I realized.
Real quick, I said, well, let's say this is even serious, which I think there's a 99% chance it's not, but let's say it is serious. Bull case, total addressable market, even if they're charging 7 figures, whatever it is, 30 million to 200 million, centered near 100 million still, that would be like a over 20 to 30 price to sales. Still crazy for that space. Just doesn't, when it's just not adding up. There's no like realistic path for this, I think. Anything else on that though? Okay. Next stock, Jordan.
I have a personal play that some of you might sound like a broken record, but recently I have increased my exposure in railways again. So I got more CP and more Norfolk Southern. So if you look at it in terms of like the AI angle of it, because you have all these data centers that are coming in and the access to bring like these heavy machineries, heavy equipment into the areas that they're trying to bring it to, pretty much the only way is to get it in is through like a railway system.
What was the other one you were in besides Norfolk?
CP, Canadian Pacific. So basically they're literally just dividend giants that will give you a bunch of money, and then their margins are pretty incredible as is. And yeah, I don't know, I've enjoyed a good run there, and I usually don't get to say that about that, and I've actually like reinvested more into it.
Well, it's interesting because John has brought up there's a whole merger with Union Pacific and all this, not directly related, but you're just in this for straight up.
I suck up the dividends. I mean, it's
so
pretty nice
that
in that.
perspective. Railroads, in general, or something. Yeah,
we just talked about it last meeting.
Yeah,
really? Yeah, it was the UPS.
It's not
Are you kidding?
unrelated. There's
Wow, 2 meetings in a row with railroads.
But just like with say like with some of these construction things, or I know Victor's brought up that rentals, construction rental company. What was it again? EQPT real quick, and then there's also United Rentals, the bigger one. So it's like with all these build outs, someone's got to move the stuff around, someone's got to build the stuff, right? Someone's got to use the equipment, right?
They've had a hell of a run, like the
railroads. Yep. Oh, well, this thing's still going.
Yeah, I don't think railroads are going to go anytime soon.
It's hard. It's hard to get them out.
They're the backbone of America for like forever.
Yeah. So
it's not you being the backbone.
So yeah, I think it's a good second order type of physical infrastructure play. You're not going to get like those Micron type returns, right? The bottleneck returns, but like in terms of just solid dividend cash flow, like
do a lot
within position well for something that's a growing trend over time. I think these railroads are pretty good. And then who knows with that merger, I mean, more of a short-term thing, but again, there's just a lot of positive potential tailwinds with these, I think medium to long term. Yes. Quinn.
I kind of want to talk about the whole memory trade.
Yes.
But more in particular, SK Hynix.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
They just yo.
But with that, I want us to look at the South Korean markets because they are really curling down, and it is quite concerning because, as we know, a lot of retail investors are very leveraged, and if not already, are getting margin called.
9,060. Yes.
And there's been a lot of pullbacks over the last year. It's still up 32% this year, but this one looks different. And with the leverage, I'm wondering how this plays into the entire memory trade because SanDisk, Micron, etc., are falling with this.
I'll just add, and if someone wants to fact check me on these exact numbers, but I know like the South Korean stock market is like 50% retail investors.
Yeah, they're on top of this, like they're all buying.
So it's significantly more volatile than like the US stock market, to the point where I think they have like circuit breakers at like a 4% drop, which ours is what, like
7?
Yeah, and then our next one's not to like what, 15 or something like that. Yeah, where theirs is like 4 and then like 7 and then like 9.
It's essentially moving like a leveraged ETF.
Yeah, so like when they start, I mean, look how much it's up year to date or just the past year. Like these things rip up and then rip right back down. I think the fundamentals around memory are still solid though.
Percentage of Korean stock market activity is retail trading. Compare that to US markets. I don't know if that's the right question, but let's just see. Don't mind the typos, little checks and balances for the AI to sort through. SK Hynix, so yeah, so they had, I mean, they've been trading publicly in Korea, but they had their US IPO as an American depository receipt valued at 1.1 trillion. Okay, again, these memory stocks, it's hard to tell with they're all gonna have low ratios just because of all the business they're getting, where they sit in the bottleneck, but yeah, so it got maybe a little pop on that, now it's back down. But who has SK Hynix? Who's big on it? Yeah.
I YOLO'd into it, full ported.
Okay. Who's been in it? Who's been in it? Okay, Brian, do you want to add?
Yeah, as a Korean, I can just kind of give insider information in terms of what's going on in South Korea.
Best kind of info. We're just joking.
Yeah. And this downturn, within the last two or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, the Koreans, one out of 30 or almost 1 out of 20 Korean retail traders have been margin called. And yeah, I was talking to my mom who's in Korea and she's a public worker. And all she's saying is in these work times, they're not working. They're just looking at the charts every single minute by the candles. And they're like, oh my God, it's going up. Yeah. Oh my God, it's going down. Like, and then they're not just trading like United States investors. They are getting like 1-to-1 ratio of margins into their whole portfolio and assets in their life. The thing about this is though, they have not been very much of a marketplace in terms of markets. Like they would always invest in real estate. So they didn't have an opportunity to invest in the stock market. And now they're changing and the government is trying to change these things. But in terms of the leverage, like they are absolutely degenerates. And I think once the Kospi stops going down and we start to see a little uptick, it's gonna be an insane, crazy, fast run back to the top.
You know, it's funny. It's kind of like how COVID was a little social experiment on everyone working from home, kind of, you know, and kind of further this and that. Maybe Korea is a social experiment, and we all become capital allocators or have to because of AI and what it does to jobs or employment or whatever it is. And because you know the things U.S. Markets they're doing, making it a gambling house. It's like, well, Korea seems to be the guinea pig for what happens. I mean, I just looked at this, which kind of checks out. Like 60 to 70% retail activity in Korea versus 20 to 30% for you. That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. Like,
so like if one person's like, I think I'm gonna take profits, and he tells all his buddies,
social trading.
Like I genuinely believe that's what happens. Is like one guy was like, I'm gonna take profits, and like, oh, well, I'll do it too.
Yeah.
Next thing you know it,
value. Probably a big edge if you can become one of those trading guru influencer people. In Korea, it's like you will turbocharge.
What's CivFB doing?
CivFB, they haven't become.
Oh yeah.
And then I will say, I think
Serenity's plays have been kind of.
SK Hynix and Samsung, I think, are like half of the Korean market.
Yeah.
In terms of concentration.
A lot of them are doing U.S. stocks. Even like Iron's one of the top 10 most traded. Even they were big on Open Door for a while. It's all the all the great stuff, right? But again, yeah, they're exacerbating. Okay, Civ. Again, this is just another. Okay, they've been rough.
Tough return.
Yeah, Serenity, the big influencer, the anime girl dude, who I guess now they've threatened to dox him or something. But anyway, he has this big following of like 1 million people now, and he's been all on these bottlenecks and he posted his portfolio. I think he's down like 49% in the past couple weeks. But again, the guy still has a bunch of people just piling into anything he says. So probably gonna pop and he just ride the volatility. And I think if AI, again, these are crazy, but like if AI turns, which it might be, just that AI trade, this thing could just go easily back to double digits and then some. So
yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. Like what we talked about today, the China and United States race is intensifying.
Yeah.
And if all of these companies are trying to create the best models in the world, they will need compute. That CapEx will continue to increase. If they don't invest in CapEx or invest those monies in, they will automatically lose. So I only see an upside for AI trade. And I'm fully supported.
Just gotta be willing to ride out the insane volatility.
Yeah.
That's all. Anyone else? Okay,
It's more of like a speculative play of two sectors. So as of recent, in the I would say like do you guys know what eVTOLs are? Like the aerospace sectors?
yes, we've talked before, yes.
So as of recently, both the main players, Archer Aviation and Joby Aviation, they are in their final stages of the FFA testing. And what a lot of these companies use for their warehouses is they use a lot of robotics. So if we see, and Archer Aviation, by the way, also has a sponsorship with the 2028 Olympics here. And their whole plan is to essentially take people from their hotels in these eVTOLs and take them to the stadiums. And if that's a success, you could see a rise in, the robotics industry as they use a lot of the robotic arms, especially from Toyota, to really make their eVTOLs. And they also have contracts with the US government for the Department of War now? Yeah.
Okay, so
These were the guys we.
Archer, okay, well, they're up like almost 20% today, and, okay, yeah, so they ripped on, there was an Anduril came up apparently, you can see that. Unveiling an autonomous VTOL, okay, well, now they're a defense play, right, okay.
They also have an Uber contract as well.
Sector-wide story that flying taxi companies are quietly repositioning as aerial robotics companies. Market is starting to pay for that. Okay, so we got to keep in mind there's a degree of like probably marketing, which makes sense from their end. And again, this is not totally related. We did talk about like some of us went to the whole robots automate conference thing, not exactly the same. There's nothing about aerial robotics, but robotics is definitely going to be big, but I think we need to kind of mitigate it's going to be a while, there's some stuff to figure out, at least with the humanoids especially. But again, I need to look at this aerial robotic stuff, and we got to keep in mind they are hyping it. We got to also keep in mind these are pre-revenue companies essentially. They've been beaten down a lot though. So again, and just like with SpaceX, just a smaller degree, like I don't know what the buy point is, but maybe sentiment is already priced in the crash. Who knows? But again, getting something with Anduril, and again, you also have to dive into these and make sure it's like it's not some hedge play for like an Anduril, because it's a name. Yes, it's a name brand thing, but got to dive into the deal. We don't have much time. Okay, but Archer plans to unveil first safety critical autonomy on air traffic control later in 2026, tied to partnerships with Palantir, NVIDIA, SpaceX. Okay, all the big names. So we'll see how serious this is, but they got some big names connected to them. LA 28 Olympics air taxi provider. Again, this is years out. This is all contingent on this working. And again, historically with aviation, there's a lot of regulatory stuff you have to navigate. We were talking about, this was not actually in the summary. I didn't feel like it was enough, but the whole boom supersonic thing and just it's very speculative. And even they they're pivoting the gas turbine, so it's not really a thing. But I think there is a niche market potential for eVTOL. But again, it's one of those things, I don't know how long this is going to be.
It's very speculative.
Yeah. Does anyone have thoughts on eVTOL in general?
As we said, I think it's speculative. We gotta see how that goes. We don't know when this is gonna catch up. So it's a matter of execution, matter of guidance.
I feel like every swing will be that oh, you lifted something in the air and you moved.
Maybe if they do play this whole defense thing, if they're serious about it, maybe they could speed run some of this, given all the incentives too. There's a Ukraine drone. Okay. So again, it's very speculative. There's legs sort of in terms of the positioning. But if we're talking value, you're going to have to disregard value completely if you're actually going to be bullish on these things. And that's tough, especially in this kind of market.
Also with the accounting principles, most of their contracts are like into the future, so they have to report what they're earning currently.
It's total
pennies compared to what they're saying.
You got to do some pie in the sky math on this stuff.
I think the FAA is also very strict with what they they very heavily regulate everything. So it's very contingent on that, and like, I haven't looked at it, so I'm not sure, but like, I feel like it's very,
I think there is such a thing as being too early, and I think
yeah.
probably are still in that zone on this type of stuff. All right, John, did you have one? Yes.
Yeah, has this group talked at all about any of the rare earth mining companies?
We have. Seamus is not here, but he's been bringing up USAR. That's kind of the leading United States rare earth play, even though China does have 70 to 90% of that whole thing. But yes, this has been a thing. Again, not okay. So pre-revenue as well, but I think in terms of just incentive wise, geopolitically, I think you could get a run on this. I mean, this has just fallen, done nothing. I mean, we're not actively in this, but again, I think there is a play here.
Okay.
But also, like it's like with pre-revenue, it's like you just have to, you either believe in that whole tailwind thesis or you don't. Because there's nothing value-wise in the company you can really go off of. But I would say, okay, if you want some speculative, smallish, mid-cap hype, I mean, this type of thing could get it could catch fire. Again, you have to be comfortable with it going to near zero.
Yeah.
But could catch fire if you believe in the angle.
What about? I know that some of the other general mining firms, like I forget the name of, there's one that's a uranium mining firm that isn't normally in rare earths, is doing a recently bought into one of the Kazakh mining firms because Central Asia is starting to open up.
Right. It's big there.
Yeah, I figure it's Cameco Corp. CAMECO Corp. Yeah.
CCJ. I think, yeah, Seamus also mentioned this one. It's a big incumbent. He liked USAR just because of the vertical integration aspect. And again, I don't know about this market too much, but I do think in terms of the sector space industry that this comes into play. But we'll see. Probably to a degree involved in AI. And it is a big deal that China, or at least the Eastern Hemisphere, has a lot of control over this. So something to keep an eye on, but value-wise, it's a trade. For sure.
Yeah.
It's like a medium-term trade. Anything else? Any stocks? Mario?
Yeah, right here. Since we talk about celebrities sometimes moving the market, this past week it was Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
In tandem with AMC reporting their highest quarterly revenue in 106 years.
Wow.
Plus, the Odyssey caused AMC stock to surge 24% on Friday.
Good for them.
Huh.
Is the movie good? Okay, it's got.
Saw the movie. It's pretty awesome.
Really? Okay.
Yes. It's also interesting because it's driving people towards IMAX, which is a limited amount of screens,
Yes,
and
I
a more
saw
expensive
that.
ticket. So probably will be profitable next quarter as well.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, with prediction markets, we can also trade movie ratings and stuff. So it's there's angled edge.
If you really loved Odyssey, there's a Polymarket move on the Oscar Best Picture, and it's positioned at 50% for next March. I put $100 just at pocket change there.
Might have to do that.
IMAX stock did not.
I watched it on Saturday, and I watched it once again yesterday, and I think it was the best movie I've ever watched in my life.
What was the
Odyssey? The Odyssey, yes.
Oh,
And I really recommend if you could watch in the IMAX. Just
Did you go to
watch it
Indianapolis?
No, I just watched in the IMAX
Okay, well, these have
with
already.
laser.
I don't know.
The normal
At the
one.
Roosevelt.
Yeah.
But watching at the IMAX is important, right?
There's a theater.
But there's only 41
70mm.
IMAX 70
It's on
mm.
Woodridge. That's the one.
Yeah.
It's in Woodridge.
That one's the real one.
30 minutes.
Yeah, that's the 70 mm one.
But that's
Which are actually you're supposed to watch when it's recorded in IMAX.
But that one's booked out for
Yeah,
the next
it's completely booked out.
It's investment right here.
Yeah, it's called
Best actor, best pictures, I think. Right. We'll figure this out.
Could you see the contract for what its Rotten Tomatoes score?
Odyssey is at
I think it's like
50%.
94 or something.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know. I haven't paid attention to the Oscars forever. Cared.
But-
Like the don't they usually come out with those types of movies at the end of the year, right? So there's still like half a year to go. They
Yeah,
come out-
there was new Marvel trailer out today that also.
We got Doomsday and Dune both, you know?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
someone wants to do a speculative
No,
Doom Part 3 or Dig, I don't know what Digger is, but okay, 7%.
I think that
I think that's the
they,
Tom Cruise movie.
Get a whole, okay, Tom Cruise, all right.
I
You
think,
know he's always gonna put his best effort in, love him or hate him, but yeah,
True.
always gonna go all out.
I thought AMC
I know
got
we're
a
up-
big boom from, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but they got a big boom from getting like World Cup viewership in there
Yeah,
too.
so MC got, yeah, they got a 26% up to date. Now, this has been, okay, essentially dilution scam territory, not a scam.
Well, that's the Wall Street bet meme stock in 2021.
yeah.
Yeah.
They have issued a ton of new shares though.
Yes.
Also,
Like the moment, and this is a few years back, but the moment their CEO, who's also been trying to be like, I'm an ape like you guys, the moment he announced they were buying, like, so GameStop at least hasn't been diluting like this, even though they've been kind of like dubious, but AMC, which is the other meme stock play, like ever since that CEO was like, we're buying a gold mining company, like, okay, well, instant they did that, I'm like, well, they're not serious, ever. Like, so, okay, but this is something at least in the short to medium term. So if you want some tailwind trade on this thing, again, screw all the valuations. Who knows how much debt they have, negative book value, like this thing is fucking underwater and all that stuff, but like, excuse my language, this is, we don't have any limits on that. Just trying to get the point across. AMC, okay, they got a pop on this, that's significant. That could be some type of revenue stream, and if this Christopher Nolan, if he keeps cranking out stuff, or the Odyssey gets more stuff, and who knows? But yeah, that's something to keep in mind.
could just trade it every 4 years or whatever, whenever Chris Nolan makes.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just
make it that
track
long.
when these directors are gonna what's the rumor, and then invest.
I'm curious how much did it go up when Oppenheimer came out, because that was also a big.
Which one?
So like we can see when Oppenheimer came out, what was the move then, and then.
I think so.
I remember.
Or less.
I wanna say, came out with
All right, so yeah, there's a little, that was last summer, so there was a little pop. You really, so again, you gotta be, this could just keep going down forever, so like, take your time to already passed. But the anticipation of it, maybe this will be a seasonal trade, you get some pop in June, July.
Yeah.
Can anybody name a
It's paying off because like
competitor to AMC? Cinemark?
I don't know, like, does
Cinemark actually, like we were just talking about it, Cinemark has a IMAX 70mm theater right around here.
And that's the only one.
That's the only one I think in the Chicagoland area.
Before you had to go all the way to Indianapolis.
Well, okay, well, they're not diluting.
Trust.
Again, some industries are just gonna be tough. Physical movie theater, anything, it's like, that's just tough. Just like physical retail, like that's just tough. Like, so it's like, yeah, Cinemark's better than AMC, but hey, they haven't been doing bad, but like.
I don't know. They at least with Disney, they own a movie that's 20 to 30% on every ticket they sell, and the rest is Disney. So it's not a very profitable business model either.
But that's like one
repairs trade. Short aim. There was a movie.
One's gonna win.
Yeah. Again, this is just a tough area, but that's interesting. Maybe there's a cyclical trade thing with AMC over the summer blockbuster movies. I don't know.
So I mean, the way they make their money really is like not through actual ticket sales, like they make it through concessions.
Yeah.
So like a lot of like broader economic, I feel like goes into that because again, this is just spitballing like
so.
Ozempic probably hurts them a bit then.
Let's look at just real quick. Yahoo Finance is still good. So when you have like a company like AMC, quick calculation thing. So you look at FinViz, there's a negative book value. So that means the liquidation value is essentially negative. If they were to like, sell everything or whatever. And so because of that, you don't see anything for what their debt is, but these businesses are historically very high in debt. They borrow so much, and that's been the issue with AMC. So if you go to Yahoo Finance, you go to like statistics, and then you can look at like, so we have a market cap of, so 7.93 billion in debt, highly levered, highly whatever, just on a freaking $2 billion company. That's why the enterprise value is $9 billion. There's a bunch of whatever finance math, but this thing is heavily in debt. That's why there's just so much headwind. I could push it down. They have to issue more shares. They have to pay those whatever they owe, whatever. It's just lots of headwinds going against us stock wise. So if anything though, this is, okay, it could be a trading vehicle. We could look at it as that, but it's movies.
They're also
tough.
Do they have like a projection year of like when they think they'll be good with their?
I think that, these companies are probably just gonna be like, yeah, we'll turn it around sometime soon, but it's been like this for the past, how many years now? Like, I think it's just gonna be like dry ships essentially, how it death spiral. So they can't issue any more shares, whatever. So, yeah. Anything else before we, what is this?
This is the market cap of AMC. It seems pretty steady, huh?
Okay, well,
the stock itself, the price itself is very steady.
Pretty bad sign overall, but yes. All right, so any more topics? I mean, it's 8:08. Okay, one more. Let's do one more. Yes.
I just have one question. What do you guys think about the so much demand and boom in the peptides market?
Well, Victor, did you want to bring up something with him? I forgot.
Yeah,
Mention that?
I can bring it up. Give me 1 second. I gotta refer to my notes on this because it was something that I wasn't familiar. I guess I'd heard about it. Hims had gotten a pop in their stock like maybe a month or two ago. But basically, one of the groups of the FDA. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, the Pharmacy Compounding Advisory Committee, which is a FDA advisory panel. They're meeting, I believe it's this Thursday.
Okay.
July 23rd and 24th. And they're voting on 12 peptides with 7 that are up for actual inclusion vote so that they can be allowed for these compounders like Hims to start producing and selling. So this is just the committee that says, they'll vote, but really they're just giving their guidance to the FDA who will then make a final decision. So what reached, RFK Jr., he's very pro peptides and he's kind of shuffled this committee that's voted on this week. So I think there's still some skepticism on whether the FDA at the end of the day actually decides to agree with what the committee says. But if it goes through, Hims is probably the best positioned company to take advantage of these compounding peptides. So it'd be pretty good. And you can see, I think like back in, I want to say it was like April when the news first broke and it got that pop off of it. And then it's kind of just been trending up again since then. So that's kind of the future for them. I think it's pretty likely that like as far as like your Ozempic weight loss drugs, like those are probably going to lose approval for compounding. 1, to protect big pharma, and 2, because like the only reason they did allow it was because of the shortage when there was like huge demand for it. The last call it 2 years. But that's fine because Hims has pivoted away from that. They have their partnership with Novo, which is like, we'll sell the name brand stuff in that category, but they're well positioned to start selling all these different peptides that span all different like kind of health and like lifestyle advancers or whatever boosters, whatever you want to call them.
So we'll know a lot more, Thursday you said?
Yeah, so the 23rd and the 24th, I assume they vote on the 24th, so.
So bottom line, I mean.
If it goes through, then does Hims has an upside?
I think we'd have to do a quick calculation. I mean, we can do it right now. What's the, what would the revenue TAM be on this peptide decision Thursday for Hims? Let's see what it says. If we can do a quick back of the envelope math thing and figure out, hey, what could the stock pop to or drop to if this goes through?
Yeah, and you have to remember the FDA would still need to agree with what the committee says, which I think doesn't happen until like October. But this gives you kind of some inside baseball on what to expect.
Yeah, I would say probably favorable risk reward at this point, given how Hims has been and et cetera. Okay, so July 23rd, 24th, yes. Okay. Okay, Jonah Lupton, okay, he's a big stock influencer. I don't really have an opinion of the guy, but he does have a following. 10 to 19 billion annual peptide-related revenue for him by 2030. Okay, well, after extrapolate that, or, by year, figure that out. Okay, that's probably worth $2 billion a year. I don't know, what's the current revenue on this? 2 billion. Okay, so this could be huge if that guy's, well, okay. That's the number making the rounds. Again, he could be pumping, so let's take it with a grain of salt. Let's see, because when we did the whole merger with Union Pacific, right? The probability, because you were saying it's 50-50, and it was pretty close in the ballpark. So let's see, what's the chances of approval? Do an objective probability estimation. Let's just see if we can figure out what the potential risk reward on this thing is. I trust Fable, it's very advanced, so smarter than humans, supposedly, so we'll see.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Let's see if we can figure out what the stock could maybe get to. Just quick ballpark math. Okay. Across 15 to 25% adjustments. Okay. Okay, how about this? Okay, 40 to 45% on more than one peptide, yes. On all 7, not very high. So probably not all of them go through. It really depends on what goes through. Okay, probably a degree of them. So probably like half-ish. Nets out bullish, probably 40%. Okay, let's just call it 50-50 or ballpark. But again, risk reward wise, if this Jonah Lupton is even in the ballpark, I mean, what it could do, I mean, and considering HIMSS has already been beaten in recent months, probably not too much downside as far as that. I mean, they've already been hit with so much regulatory stuff. So something to keep an eye on. We're going to know a lot by next meeting. So let's wrap it up to be continued, because we're going to have earnings, we're going to have this info coming out. So we'll know a lot by early August. All right. Thank you for showing up. We're going to get drinks and dinner on the 4th floor. You're welcome to stay with us, or if you need to go, and awesome.